first podcast that we're having on, the first person on our podcast that we're having on that now we have a more so of a direction that we're going with the show, where we're gonna do 3 mini lead up shows called Thoughts from Somewhere. And it's with me, William, and Damun, that we're just discussing whatever the profession or expertise is of the person that we're going to talk to that month. We just have like 20 minute, 30-minute conversations about it. So that way we build up the momentum to you. Right now, we've already built up the momentum to you. So people know, that you're a marketing and advertising guru. I'm the one that used the word, and I know that you're way more humble than that, but you are a guru, bro. Tell the people about you. Let them know. I want people to know how you started. How'd you get involved in all of this? Let them know who you are.
So my name is Jongazma. I'm the owner of Ads World. We're a full service advertising agency based out of Toronto, Canada. We service all over the world, whether it's North America, Europe, Asia, whatever the case is, we can help you out with. I've been doing Ads World for about 3 years now. Prior to that, I used to work at a station in Toronto called Z1035. It's a dance top 40 radio station. How I got into this all, funny enough, I wasn't actually supposed to go into this. I was supposed to go into culinary arts. I wanted to be a chef. My dad's a chef. He used to own 2 restaurants in Vancouver at the time. So it's always something that I enjoyed when I was younger. Plus, I love food. And I thought, okay, this is maybe something I can get into. When I was in college, I was strictly in my 4 years at college. 4 years at university. I'm fucking up. 4 years in high school was geared towards culinary arts.
Hold on, you said your pops owned the spot, owned 2 restaurants?
2 restaurants. So he owned the pizza place in Vancouver, and he owned a Mediterranean spot in Vancouver as well. So those are the 2 spots. He owned them back in the 90s. So I was always growing up with the restaurant environment, food obviously being a thing, especially our culture. You know how strong food is. So that's something that I was always around. So it's something that I got interested in. So all of high school, that's the direction I was geared towards, was to go into the culinary arts side of things. So I applied for some of the top schools in Canada. 2 of them I actually got. I was person number 31 of 30. So I just missed the cusp of the amount of people that I can get into. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to have to wait maybe a semester, which I didn't want to. So I said, okay, let me apply to something else. At the time I was DJing. I just started DJing maybe 3 years in. And I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe radio looks pretty cool. I'll be on radio. Maybe this is just like a temporary thing till I go into culinary. So I got accepted to a school out here. It's called Seneca College, which is linked to this university called York University. So I got accepted to there, did all the entry-level tests, got accepted, started the program. At first, I was like, okay, whatever, it is what it is, nothing crazy. Couple weeks getting into it, I start to realize, okay, you know what, I really like this. Like, I'm super passionate about it. Like, it's something I want to do. So I said, okay, you know what, maybe I'll just finish this and then I'll go into culinary arts. That didn't happen. I finished radio broadcasting 2 years later. While I was working, I ended up getting an internship, and you needed an internship in order to graduate from school. So I got my 100 hours, and then right as soon as I hit my 100 hours, they actually offered me a part-time job. So I was probably one of the only students. I think at the time I was like 17, 18 years old, and I was working part-time at a radio station, which is unheard of because they don't really hire people, and if they do, it's something that's like super, super, super out of the ordinary. So I started doing that. And
why do you think that is? Why? I mean, I'm not to toot your own horn, but I mean, we're talking about you, bro. So I want to know, why do you, because if that's a rare thing that happens, what did you bring to the table?
At the time, it was rare just because radio was a hot commodity for a lot of schools, and it was hard to get into the station. And the reason why I did get into it, just because I wasn't your average intern. When they told me, okay, you know what, can you come on a specific day? I would try to make it to come into that day, just because I want to show them, like, you know what, I'm serious. I want to make it. This is what I want to offer. And plus, a lot of times when I was doing things, I wouldn't just say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do it. I used to give my opinion on, okay, you know what, this is what I think we can do better, or, this is what I can do. Plus, I had a lot of connections growing up. So I always tried to use those somehow into it, whether it was, let's say, a car breaking down and them needing a mechanic. I said, okay, you know what, I know someone who can help you out, and I try to get it done for them. Just because in that industry, you got to know someone, you got to help them out. And they start to realize, okay, you know what, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy can help you out. And they realize, okay, you know what, maybe it's time we bring this guy on board. So around I think my 100th hour, they actually came to an offer with me saying, you know, we want to pay you now for the time you're coming in. Obviously, it wasn't anything crazy. Like, it's still minimum wage at the time.
But it's still paid.
Still pay. especially for a college student that just got into this, has no idea what he's doing. I didn't know what I was doing.
Fact.
So I got that opportunity and it worked out. Did that for about a year and a half, and it came to a point where I just realized, okay, you know what, I'm not making money. If I want to pursue this, I need to get into a position where there's going to be some sort of, you know, dough coming in. That position in that industry, for the specific position that I need to go into, was sales. So I applied for a sales position, didn't get the position right away. My sales manager at the time essentially told me, listen, you need to go out, get some more experience, and then come back. And as you probably know, a lot of jobs, they don't take you right off the bat without you having experience. So it's hard to go to a business or a company and say, hey, you know what, can you give me experience or can you give me a shot or whatever the case is? So it's very difficult. So ended up waiting another 6 months. And I was thinking about, you know, maybe shifting into a different career path or whatever the case was. It came to a point where I said, okay, you know what, let me reapply. So I reapplied around, I think this is around November 2014. I applied and he said, okay, you know what, do you have experience? I said, no, but I bullshitted my way. I was like, listen, I think with the right guidance and, you know, this and that, I think I'd be a great asset.
Not bullshit, you know, because you ended up falling through, you know?
Yeah, at first it was difficult because it's hard for a sales manager who's been in the game for so years to come and trust someone who's like 18 years old, 19 years old, has no idea what this is, and is coming at you straight fresh from school. So he said, okay, you know what? We have a marketing, I guess, seminar coming up. If you can guarantee 15 to 20 people to show up in reserve and buy, maybe we'll look into hiring you. So I literally, bro, for the past, like, I think it was a week campaign that we were sitting there. A week I had a desk. It wasn't even my desk. Not even, they didn't give me a phone, nothing. I'm using my cell phone calling people. Everyone that I know, from guys that tinted my cars, cleaned my cars, did oil changes, everyone. And I was able to secure 10 people to show up to this event. So they showed up, whether it was like the most, like I had some of the most biggest drug dealers show up that in barbershops. Yeah, they showed up. They showed up and like all these guys are all corporate guys. They're looking like, who is this guy? They came, whatever. At the end of the week, I closed 3 deals. And the 3 deals that I closed was close to like 80 grand.
Boy.
So closed the grand, and then I closed the 80 grand. And then I think my last meeting was a good friend of mine. They wrap cars and they do like customizing on cars here. We went to that meeting and it was a snowstorm too. I'll never forget it. We get there around like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And the guy's like, okay, you know what, we're going to sign. And right before he signs, he tells my manager at the time, he's like, listen, the only reason I'm signing is because of Nick and because of the relationship I have with Nick. He's like, if Nick was not here, I would not sign.
Shout out who that is right now. Shout out
GTA Raps. They're called GTA Raps. They're based out of Vaughan. These guys are the sickest in the city. They wrap cars any color you want. They always take care of me. So those guys are always sick. 2 brothers.
That's mad love, bro.
And to this day, every year around holiday time, I take them a gift just because they were my first clients. And I just got to show them love. That's always what it is. So,
that's what's up, bro. I respect that.
So right after I finished that, I walked outside. My manager said, okay, you know what? Do you think I should hire you? I said, it's all up to you. On Monday morning, I got a offer for the job and I was there for about 5 years in total. I left around 2018. And I actually quit on the day that I got hired 5 years before. So it was October 1st, I think, that all my paperwork went through. When I first started with the company, I quit on October 1st as well. And yeah, I ended up leaving just because.
Good terms, bad terms?
It was good terms. The VP was starting to just get on a lot of our cases. Yeah. And it started to get a little bit more micromanaged. And at that time, like, there's a lot of things going on, whether it was like family, whatever. And it just came to a point where it just didn't make sense for me to be there. And I wanted to do something on my own. So I thought,
that's where you learned everything, would you would say, or?
That's where I learned everything. Legit, everything that I learned was from there. Wow. I had mentors. Shout out to Mike, Peter. These guys are like older guys, senior reps that pretty much taught me everything in the industry there. And I just essentially learned that, took that, and went and started AdsWorld 3 years ago. At first, I was going to just make it strictly like a radio advertising agency. And then as I realized, okay, you know what? There's no one else that's sort of doing everything else. So I added on TV. I added on billboards. I added on
bro, you're
cinema, everything. Poppy,
bro.
So everything you think of. And I went from selling radio, which is legit an airspace. Like, it's so hard to sell radio because it's not a physical product. Like, it's not like an iPhone or there's no physical aspect to it. To now I'm selling billboards, which is almost like real estate. It's like you're at this location or this location. So it's not just, okay, he's only able to sell radio. I can sell you anything, but it's just what makes the most sense and to what's going to sell towards your business. So I ended up adding all those services and I've been doing it for 3 years, bro. It's been going well. Obviously, the pandemic kind of shifted things, and we had to pivot towards different directions to make things happen. But
Sure.
it's been good. Yeah, it's been good. Hopefully, you're gonna just expand bigger and bigger as the years come by. But we originally started just in Ontario, and then we went to Canada, and now we're doing the U.S. and Europe. So we're just slowly starting to expand.
So what would you say, is the most efficient form of marketing and advertising? Is that too broad of a question? Is there a favorite? Is there like a favorite that you have? Is there something that you see works the most, the best, the most, or is it different to each business?
So it all depends on the business. There's some businesses that'll strive strictly off of social media. I think obviously every business will strive off of social media, but there's some businesses that have social media more in their favor than anything else. Some businesses would gear towards more like the restaurant and the billboards. Like those ones work really well, or like radio.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is radio and billboards just because they work hand in hand. So if I'm promoting a business and you're driving and listening to it on the radio, and then next thing you know, you see it, it's like, okay, you know what? These guys work very well together. And
Yeah.
that's why I like it. TV is a good one as well. I'm not a big fan of it just because your average person is not watching a lot of TV. Just like people say, okay, you know what? People don't listen to radio. TV is just very pricey, and a lot of the programming, the formats just don't make sense with a lot of things. And for small businesses, it doesn't make sense for them to do it just because you can put those dollars into better things like advertising on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So I think that's almost a new TV, if you will. But radio, people think radio is going to die. It's never going to die just because an example I like to always give, the record came in, radio was around, tape came in, radio was around, CDs came in, radio still around, MP3 came in, radio still around. Now that it's streaming, radio still around. People
I
like
wonder
radio because
why
it's
that
free.
is, bro.
Radio's free. So people always like free. When you sit in your car, there's not a tablet, there's not a TV, there's not a newspaper, there's a radio. Why? Because it's free, because that's something that'll always be there. Yes, radio has evolved. It's not doing as well as it used to back in the day just because of now the competition it has, but that's
I
on the
was just
radio
about to say
stations, and
sheer volume of radio stations. Yeah.
it's just the way the direction is going. That's why a lot of radio stations are now doing podcasts, because people like podcasts. People don't want to necessarily be tied down to listening to one thing at one specific time.
Yeah.
Someone could be listening to this podcast at 2 in the morning, but they're not going to be able to listen to that show at 2 in the morning because that show might not run. And it's just a new generation. People are always on this. So if this could be more accessible for them and they could do something on this, they'd rather use this than going to, let's say, that turning on the radio and tuning into that. And plus, I just think stations need to get with the times and start to go in that direction, which a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I was actually talking about this yesterday. I feel like US stations, they're doing very well with this just because they don't have as much restrictions as Canada does. Like we have crazy restrictions here when it comes to like Canadian content for music and like swearing and this and that. So
Oh,
there's
really?
a lot of
Really?
like restrictions we have in Canada for that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, I was thinking the other day, and it's just like, what do you think separates you? Because like the way I got a hold of you, you know what I mean, is based off of it could have been off of advertising and marketing. I really don't know. I just remember seeing you, people like you would comment, and you were one of the only ones that these like influencers, whoever it is commenting back to. You know what I mean? And I saw that, and I see you pop up a few times, and I'm like, man, who is it? And he has to be Persian. You know what I mean? I'm like, he has to be Persian. Clicked on your page, all the stuff, and I mean, the rest was history. I DM'd you, and
Yeah,
that's for a
100%.
different story. But and now we're bros that's for life. And
100%.
now we're working together, and we're making things move and groove. You're Foreign Aries brand ambassador out in the six, but like what I'm saying is like I feel like you've been and established and made yourself a brand, bro. Like way before like ads world, like you were putting in work and making yourself a brand, and it's like, and obviously like it worked all the way from San Francisco, bro. I see, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, it feel like that's how, I mean, that's a far stretch, but I'm sure you have even farther stretches, based off of, who you are in your network. But, I wanted to bring up why you think, what separates you, bro, than all these other guys doing what you're doing. I love
Honestly,
asking that question.
when it comes to my brand, and this is something that I always like to mention, is I'm not Nick Adsworld. I'm not Nick the DJ. I'm not Nick the guy with the unique glasses. I'm not Nick the Persian guy. I'm not Nick. I'm just Nick. And it just happens that Nick owns Adsworld. It happens that Nick owns Capture 360. It happens that Nick does all these things, but I'm my own brand.
Fact.
So I'm
That's
not
what I'm
necessarily
saying.
tied down to one thing. So, and that's something that, like, when I was at Z, I was very tied into Z103, so that when I left, people still think of me as Nick Z103. But now they're starting to realize, okay, you know what, Nick the advertising guy. So it depends on who the person is, but that's how I put myself out there, is just because, let's say one day I get out of the advertising game. Let's say advertising dies and it's never a thing. I don't
Sure.
want to be strictly tied to advertising where
Known
it's
as
like, okay,
Nick. Yeah.
that's it. So I don't want to be tied down. I just want to be Nick. That's all it
Yeah.
is. I
I
don't
feel,
want to be like, Nick Adsworld or Nick the Billboard guy or this, that. That's not how I want to do it. This all honestly started when I first started getting into the whole DJ scene, and you had to build your brand. You had to stand out. For me, it was like, okay, you know what? The bearded guy. Like, for the longest time, I was the DJ with the beard. Then people started to do the whole beard. Like, on the back of my MacBook, I'll never forget. I used to have, like, the Apple was the guy, it was the face. I had glasses on it, and I had the beard on it. And that was my
that's
thing. And then
dope.
people started to do it, and then I changed it. I quickly went just to, like, my name, DJ Ara. So I switched it up. Like, I like to be different. I don't like to follow people's things, and that's what I think just works for me. And like, my brand essentially is not just strictly posting about billboards. Like, people get tired. You want to obviously be able to relate to them. For me, it's like, okay, maybe I'll talk about advertising. Maybe I'll talk about what's going on in news. Maybe I'll talk about something that's funny. I like to just give them a little bit of variety when it comes to things,
Sure.
so that they're not necessarily tied down. Okay, this guy only talks about billboards or only talks about radio. No, this is Nick. He just happens to talk about billboards. He happens to enjoy food. He happens to, work with people, work with brands, or whatever the case is. And that's how I
Yeah.
see things.
Yeah. What would you say? I mean, what would you say? I mean, I think you wholeheartedly believe that your network is your net worth. You know what I
100%.
mean? Like, I
100%.
see you. Like, I mean, I see you around. Like, anyone that I click, on, if you're in pictures with somebody or anything, these guys are shakers and movers, and they're doing something in their community. They're doing something. They're part of the world.
100%.
And with that being said, I always talk to people and say it's all about who you know, bro. Like, really, like, it's good to know stuff, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
But it's really who you know, bro.
It's who you know. And if you know things, obviously it'll make things easier, but 100%, your network is very important. And that's something that I'm huge on, is my network is so versatile that it's not just one industry. Like, I have people that are in the music industry. I have people that are in the clothing industry. I have people that are artists. I have people that are in the automotive industry. Like, if you call, and it's a running joke that we have, it's here, it's like, any one of my friends or whatever it is, or someone that I meet, it's like, okay, Nick always has someone for something. So
but but that's like,
it's
okay, but that's like, like like the Godfather in the movie. Everyone
yeah,
goes to him because it's not necessarily him doing everything, but he
exactly.
has someone for something because
That's
someone
it.
owes him a favor from way
Oh,
back when in
100%,
the world.
100%. Yeah, no, of course, 100%. And that's just how it is. It's like, I've just met so many people over the years, and my biggest thing is relationships. I love to maintain relationships, and I never burn bridges. And if a bridge does burn, it's never because I wanted to, it's because the other person does. So, like, as funny as it
Yeah,
is, I even still have good relationships with my ex-girlfriends, just because
yeah.
it's like, I have no beef with them unless something really bad ended, or, like, something crazy went down. Like, my best friend of like 10 years plus years, we had a huge falling out, but we reconnected because it's
Yeah.
just like, that's just who I am. And as much as, like, yeah, something did happen and it's hard, a lot of people say, you know what, you're stupid for doing it. But it's like, listen, you always keep them in your life, and that's what it is. It's just how networking goes. And
Yeah.
just, you got to maintain. And something that like, personally for me, and this is something that I'm huge on, my clients are not just my clients. Anytime a client becomes a client, they automatically join part of the family. So I treat them like family. I don't treat them like, oh, you know what, this is someone I'm just going to be making money off of, or giving them something in return. My clients can call me at any time of the day, asking for a favor or asking for this or that, and I'll take care of them. So
Look,
that's just how I am. And
yeah,
that's
I could vouch. I mean, we've known each other for about a year now. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And I could vouch. I mean, the way I talk about you in general to people that don't know you, it's all love, bro. That's my bro out in the
appreciate you,
six.
bro.
All the shit. I mean, it's It's no cap. I'm not gassing you up. It's just because it's hard to find nowadays. I was telling my mom this, like, and this isn't just for ear needs. Like, this could be for anyone. But it's hard to find nowadays people that are like your age that aren't like seeing you do well and like they want to like rip from you and temporarily screw you over or whatever it may be. Like they don't get motivated, they get jealous, right? But it's like
100%.
but like with you and I, because we see eye to eye and we're the other 10%, because I honestly feel like 90% of people, they see people doing good, and it's never a, oh man, how did you do that, bro? Can you teach me maybe something? Like it's always a, I want to get this guy now, you know what
There's
I mean?
always a
Or I want
comment.
to
There's
hit on
always
this guy.
something to say. People
So it's
evil
like
eye a
with
lot, and
you, it
that's
wasn't like that, bro. Like from the very jump, like you could have easily been like, man, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? Or and a lot of people do that, but it's like I feel like one of the reasons why you're so successful in what you do and you're a great person to sell what you're selling at the moment is because you really stand behind that. Hey, bro, there hasn't been a time that I haven't called you or texted you that you haven't even hit me right back and said, it's like if you don't pick up or don't answer, it's like you'll say, hey, bro, this is what I'm doing. I'll hit you back. And you always do. You know what I
100%. That's
mean?
just
It's
how,
like,
like, if I miss a call, it won't just try to pick up. Like, and that's just something I do. It's like, hey, man, sorry I missed your call. Like, what's going on? Like, this is what I was doing. Like, my bad if I missed you. Because, like, that's just how I feel. Like, if someone said that to me, like, I feel much better. It's like, maybe, because people think, oh, maybe he's ignoring me. No, that's not the case. Like as we speak, like, and I just want you to see, like, bro, my messages are going off. Like,
I bet. You come closer.
like
Yeah,
they're
I
going,
bet.
yeah,
See,
they're
yeah.
going off. Like, they're going off right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll get back to them once I'm done saying, hey, you know what? Like, sorry, I was recording a podcast. Like, that's what it is. So that's just how I am. And it's like, even when you reached out, I know you reached out to a lot of other people, and a lot of other people either didn't respond or they had some sort of comment to say. I was like, wow, you know what? This guy's reaching out. The fact that he reached out and he, put some trust into reaching out to me and thinking I can help him, that's amazing. And the fact that, he's Persian, this is what he's doing, and we're the same age, and, this is all the things, like, that's amazing. Let me work with him. And then we
Yeah.
started working and just went, like, I don't have crazy following. It's not like I have 100,000 followers, but I have an impact in my own lane, and that's what I tried to help you. And
You're a factor where you are, bro. That's how I put it. Whenever I explain, like some people ask, you know what I mean? All my cats out here, like all my boys, they're like, who is this cat that you're always posting, like all this stuff? I'm like, bro, he's a factor in his section, bro. In his part of the world, he's, it might be a drop, in an ocean, but you made that, it still takes that drop, you're still making that wave in where you're at, bro. And it's like, you need to do that before you can make the big splash.
I appreciate that, bro.
And it's like, I just think that's dope, bro. I always think that when I see you, and ever since I've met you, it's been nothing but you've proven what you just said. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm vouching for that, just so everyone that's watching, big time, and everyone that knows me, I don't just talk about shit. You had to have really proven yourself, and you definitely have pulled through, and anything that he said, he's done, ladies and gentlemen. So just know that.
If I can help in any way, bro, I'll always try to help.
Yeah.
If I can connect anyone to each other, I'll do that. Just because when I started things, people didn't try to connect me. It was very, very rare. And if I can sort of connect this person to that person or this to that, I'll do it in any way.
Why not?
Because there's a benefit for me, because that's never how it is. I never do things to get benefits out of, or whatever the case is. And I never have expectations. That's the thing. So that's one
With
piece of advice.
expectations comes disappointment, brother. My mom told me
you set yourself up when you have expectations. You set yourself for disappointment. If I expect you to send me, let's say, a package and I don't get it, I'm just gonna be upset. But when you send it to me and I get a package, I'm like, damn, you know what? He sent it to me. That's amazing. So that's one thing that I feel like people need to manage expectations first of all, and you just need to not have expectations.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of marketing and advertising is connecting people, right? It's like, that's what we're talking about right now. So it's like, all you do is connect people, I feel. You know what I mean?
That's all it is.
Yeah. And
if I can connect one person to another, like, for example, connected you for the PR work with Ernesto.
Yep.
That's someone I could have not connected you with. But I did, because, you know what, same thing. And he believes in the same things I do. And he's someone that I've worked with closely almost in the past year, and he's like same wavelength and he's same vibes that we have, and
Shout out
it's
to
all about.
them.
Shout out to Ernesto, neighborhood team, Anthony, Anna, all those guys.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
they're doing well. We were just on their podcast yesterday, actually. So,
The fam,
uh,
yeah, hell yeah, from podcast to
yeah,
podcast, bro.
podcast to podcast. You know,
See,
that's
I
what we're
mean,
doing.
who can say you're not a factor in your section, dog? I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the future, in the business that you're in right now? I mean, because I think technology is ever growing so fast. You know what I mean? Every day it's like this. It's like I can't even wrap my head around it. You know what I mean? And I'm not the most technologically savvy dude. You know, so it's a little much for me. But like I know that you're that's this is your lane. So where do you think it's going? What do you see the future holding in this?
So personally, obviously, things are going more online, digital side of things as we speak. Definitely think in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be fully digital. Whether it's billboards, online ads, digital ads, whatever the case is. Like it's already going in that direction. A lot of guys are transitioning into that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just going to be the new norm, and people just sort of got to adapt to it. Right now, it's still kind of new. People are still kind of iffy about it when it comes to, let's say, outdoor media. They still like the traditional, but I think traditional will always be there in some sort of sense and way. It's just the new norm is going to be digital, and people just got to adapt to it because that's where the direction of things are going, and it's just only going to evolve more and more from there.
For the people that might not know, what do you give some of your like the best examples right now of digital marketing?
For right now, digital marketing, for example, like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, those are considered digital. You're not, a lot of people are not spending dollars towards newspapers or magazines, wherever the case is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times I'll even go into meetings and I'll lose the buy just because they're not interested in radio and they think their dollars could be spent better towards, let's say, a digital ad,
Wow.
whether it's running ads towards different sites they can run advertising on. That's the direction I think things are going to go into. Even right now, when it comes to billboards, a lot of the times when I pitch digital, they don't buy it. They rather go static, which is the old school way of like the print and the vinyl things. So it just depends on what the client is, and I just feel like in the next 10 years, because everything is going to shift into that direction and it's going to be the only thing available, people are going to have to just get used to it. So I
Yeah.
think it's still a little bit new, but in the next little bit, it will become the new norm and people will have to adapt to it.
Things are moving fast, bro. I don't know. Things are. It seems like adaptability though. Like in this time, in this Corona time, people either adapted or they didn't. You know what I mean? Like I saw a lot of people still uh, do their thing. Through this whole time. So it's like I mean, just like you just said, things are moving, things are changing, and you just have to adapt, bro.
That's all it
It,
is.
yeah.
Especially with social media, there's a lot of businesses to this day that are still not on social media. They're behind, and it's like
That's
we get
crazy
it.
to me, bro.
Back in the 2000s, early 2000s, there was no social media,
Yeah,
but your business was maybe doing well because back then things were different. But now, if let's say you're the best, let's I don't know, best chicken spot in the city, and you think you're the best chicken spot, but you have, let's say, 20 other competitors that are probably not the best and they're promoting it like they're the best,
yep.
you're losing market share because you're not on advertising on your social media platforms. And I've had this discussion with a client of mine here, and I did a full brand development for them back 2, 3 years ago, and they're a Portuguese restaurant. When I first started, their logo was outdated, Instagram was outdated, the pictures didn't look good, but they have amazing food, best food in the city.
Yeah,
Took their brand and developed it, built their websites, this, that. They did so much money with me on advertising. And then to this day, when we first started, they had 700 followers. I checked today, they're at 4,500 followers. 2 years later, all organic, not a dollar was spent. Their engagement is through the roof. When I talked to them about Instagram at first, the father didn't believe about it. He's like, this is not something we want to do. It is what it is. I'm like, listen, trust me when I tell you in the next 2, 3 years, you're gonna see why it works.
yeah.
Today, when I went by to see them, literally like maybe 2 hours ago before this call, he's like, oh, you know what, we're doing really well. and he didn't believe in Uber Eats. He didn't believe in all that stuff. And he's showing me like the profit he's making and the sales. And he's like, this is the best thing we ever did.
Wow.
Like there's a line. I was talking to the chef earlier, and he said there's a line wrapped around the restaurant right now, and it's not anywhere crazy. It's in literally like a plaza, but because people start to see him on TikTok, Reels, this, that, like their most recent reel got 220,000 views over
Still
some chicken, potatoes, and rice.
new word of mouth, you know?
That's all it is. And it's like, people need to understand, like, okay, you can have the best food in the city, but how are people going to know about it? Are you going to advertise on social media, or are you still going to put out flyers at the corner of the street, or like put some menus in a bag and hope that they're going to come back next? There's some places that does work, like the Staples in the city, whatever it is. But even those guys, they're somehow tied to social media, whether it's someone who posted about them, or whether it's something has happened for them to pop off. So I just think social media is definitely something that's important and people need to take advantage of.
Yeah.
And with all the new features that they are dropping on, let's say Instagram, for example, like Reels, people need to take advantage of it. You need to go with the trends. And if TikTok's moving, go with TikTok. If Instagram Reels are moving, go with Instagram Reels. So whatever the case is, you just have to follow the trends.
Do you think with all of this, it's easier to pop off? And because like, you know, I'm just talking about for businesses. Like, I feel like a lot of people, I see a lot of overnight successes. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you know,
it's 100% much easier now than it was before.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, like
easier to keep it though?
It depends on how you put it out there. Like when I think about my dad's restaurant back in Vancouver, 94, 95, there was no social media. It was how you going to advertise. It's like putting out specials, reaching out to newspapers, getting bloggers, like actual food bloggers, not some girl who decided, you know, I'm going to wake up in the morning and post a couple food items because I enjoy food and then just grow a page to like 100,000 followers. There was actual chefs that used to be bloggers. So those things would have to come into play. Nowadays, it's like, you don't need to advertise on newspaper. You don't even need to have a physical menu. You can just post a couple pictures on Instagram. It'll go viral. Next thing you know, you're the best popping restaurant in the city. So it's much easier, but I feel like people just take it for granted. They don't realize, okay, you know what? This is how things were. Like if Instagram shuts down tomorrow, half these online businesses are gone.
Yeah. I feel like someone like that's doing something big in your city right now, if for example it's Skits with his
Skits is killing it. Skits is killing it.
He's
killing
it.
Skits originally started with doing like the whole like the videos and the pranks and all that stuff. And then to this day, I still don't know what the story is, but he apparently had a really bad experience with some sort of donut restaurant or donut chain where something happened and he decided, no, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start my own thing. And that's when he started Six Donuts and he's been killing it. He just got a food truck recently and his donuts actually slap. Like they actually slap.
Yeah, as soon as I come out to Canada, bro. As soon as
like
I
they
come
slap. So
he's doing well.
Doing well. But he's someone who also took advantage of the branding that he had.
That's what I'm saying.
Personal following. And then now that's working out for him, he sort of introduced Six Donuts, and that's where all his follower fam is. Like I'm looking at his videos, and he has people coming in from like Ottawa and like different regions of Canada just to get some donuts, which is crazy. It's like who's driving 5 hours for donuts? I probably would, but like that's how it is.
That's when you know what you're selling is just dope, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, like there's businesses that pop off overnight, and there's some businesses that take a little bit longer. But when they do pop off, they see, you know what? Okay, no, this is how things work. Like that's amazing.
Couldn't agree more. Well, bro, it was lovely speaking with you. I appreciate the fact that you got on. I know that you just were on another podcast yesterday, but you always make time as usual.
Appreciate it, bro.
I really appreciate you, bro. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the world. I feel like more people should be like you, not just for business purposes and money. I'm talking about in general, should be like you, an actual neighbor, an actual brother, and trying to, you know, help people out, you know, from the goodness of your heart. Honestly, bro, I think that good intentions take you a long way. So thank you very much, bro. If you want to throw out your, we're gonna definitely tag you and stuff, but all your businesses one more time, just for people to hear that.
So my personal is Life of Aura, LIFE of OFARRAA. Did I say right? ARAA.
Yeah.
Business page is AdsWorld, ADZ World. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. If you guys have questions, you want to reach out, hit me up. I'm always open to answering DMs, whatever the case is. But yeah, that's me. That's where you can find me.
Appreciate you, fam.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much.